So this is an exploration of a mystery, and it's suggested that all there is mystery. So everything is a mystery. What seems to happen is that this, which can't be named, this undefinable thisness, there's anything and everything, apparently. It can appear in any which way. It can take form, shape, colors, sounds, smells. It can appear limited. It can appear to be in time. It can appear as space. Apparently, it can go as fast as the speed of light. Apparently, it can be totally empty and still. So this mystery could be called energetic, just boundless energy without source, without a source, just total free, wild energy. And being totally boundless and without any source, it's everything. It's all encompassingly everything. It's all there is. And being boundless and being unconditional and being totally free, it can appear to be knowable. Apparently, it can appear to be knowable. And what seems to be is that knowing, the apparent experience of knowledge, comes about through a separation experience, the experience of separation. And it's suggested that this only seems to happen for the human form. So the human form, as a tiny child, a baby or a child, seems to have a contraction. This energy, being boundless, seems to take form and become localized. So it seems to take on a position. It doesn't really take a position in space. By taking a position, it becomes space. It becomes spatial, which not really sure if that can be comprehended. But it appears to take on a position, and out of this sense of position, this sense of space seems to come about. So being here, there must be a there by definition. And what more seems to also occur is now. So there seems to be a sense of now, as the contracted energy seems to connect, contract, localize to a human form. It seems to experience thoughts and ideas, and memories are appearing, and it's recording. It's like it's apparently processing information, and and this is how memories seem to come about. And memories coming about creates a sense of now and then. So here and there and now and then seem to become more established in a human experience. And as though that time then becomes more sort of solidified or apparently solidified, a journey seems to be happening. So there seems to be a process. There seems to be an experience of moving on a linear path in time, going somewhere and coming from somewhere, somewhere and somewhere, and going to a destination of some kind. And because of this contracted energy, being boundless seems to feel contracted. There's a seeming felt sense of tension that seems to happen in the human form. So a tension seems to occur. And as this tension seems to occur, and time and space seem to be married up and paired with that, there's this sense of seeking. So I go looking for something. which I feel like I've lost. So there's this sense of incompletion or a sense of loss that's seeming to happen. And as this sense of loss seems to happen, seeking for wholeness starts to become apparent. Oops, sorry, Sam. Just asked you to unmute, but I didn't actually want you to unmute. So seeking for wholeness. So now time and space seem to be apparent and real and knowable. Seeking for wholeness apparently begins. And the way in which this tends to happen is materialism, perhaps, for some. Substances seem to induce a state of ease and relaxation. Maybe inhibitions will loosen up through the next drug, the next psychedelic, the next drink. Maybe partners or friends, relationships might provide some kind of distraction or comfort, or maybe a sense of belonging. Activities, going to places, socializing. It's all free to be what it is, of course, not wrong. But these can become destinations as such. They can become an attempt to move in a direction towards something better. And for some, there's just this sense, the sensitivity. So a sensitivity can be felt that this isn't quite working, that there's a sense that something is dissatisfying. And so maybe it turns towards spirituality or religion or therapy for the answers to this existential predicament. So it might get a list from a therapist, a sort of a routine to follow so as to feel like a more whole and fulfilled and integrated individual. Or maybe it turns towards a priest of a certain religious tradition or spiritual tradition, and maybe it gets another list of some kind, following commandments, ethical precepts, guidance as to how to live a skillful life. Maybe it gets practices along with that as well, meditation, yoga, Reiki, Qigong, and so on. And then maybe stories start to emerge, like if I clear my chakras, or if I go to an ashram and sit with a guru and feel their presence, then I'll start to become whole again. This whole energy is perpetuating itself out of anyone's control. It's unfolding in this sort of weird and wonderful way. And what's happened there is a sense of incompletion and a sense of lack due to this felt sense of separation. And what has emerged is a story that I, the separate self experience, is moving in the direction towards wholeness, towards freedom, towards liberation, towards enlightenment, towards the kingdom of God, towards union with the divine, or to be totally one with the universe. Whatever story it's conjured up, it's always the same. It's always the longing to go home or to come home. And what this, after all of that, what this is pointing out is that home is all there is. Unconditional home is all there is. Boundless energy is not really limited by time or space. It's simply an experience for the human form. And what seems to be more apparent is that as this contracted energy perhaps just becomes a little bit softer and more porous and apparently falls away, it's revealed that there's no real time or space. There's no real separation. There is only what is, and it's whole and free and boundless. So it's not limited by time, space, or even consciousness. It's not limited by experience. This wholeness that's being talked about, being totally mysterious, does not need anything to happen. There is no grand intention because there is no real time or space. So being wholeness, being boundless, being free, it is totally without meaning or purpose. It's without intention. It's without significance even. It's not important or special. It's just everything. It's just nothing at all, being everything, everything there is. It's empty and full simultaneously and paradoxically. It's so sort of completely all-encompassing and boundless. And by being all-encompassing, it cannot be comprehended. Comprehension is another limitation. And this is pointed out through an apparent exposure with concepts. It's pointed out that this is already home, that this is already wholeness, and that nothing really needs to happen, despite it might seeming that it needs to happen. That's an experience of an illusory experience of separation. And so that's shared. And what can happen is a sort of a loosening up and an unraveling of some beliefs and opinions and views about my life and how important I am and my going in a direction towards wholeness. There is no towards or away from. There is only wholeness. It doesn't live at a distance from here and now. It is all there is. It's everything. And simply by pointing that out, the body, the so-called vessel or psychophysical organism can feel this. It sort of intuits it. Doesn't know it, but it sort of intuits. And if that happens, it can only be said to be totally mysterious and totally energetic, but it doesn't involve a so-called individual. It doesn't include individuality because there's no real individuality or separation. It's wholeness appearing as such. And so whether resonance happens or resistance happens to all that's been shared and all that may be shared, it's all unconditional freedom. Whether laughter happens or crying happens, happiness or whatever else, joy, play, whatever happens is unconditional freedom, alive and boundless. And all the time it gets talked about and not talked about, it's as though that energy is percolating. Oh, yeah, go for it, Sam.
Ooh, that's it. Do you want to ask about that?
Sorry?
Yeah. Just get a peepee on it. There you go. That's it.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hey, Fifi.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good.
No, we were debating, Alexis. Can you tell us what the difference is between this and a religion, sort? Because we kind of debated that between us two, so can you help out there?
Okay, so a religion is based on a process and teaching to move in a direction towards something. This is not taught, it's not confined by any processes of any kind. It's simply pointing out that which is already beyond limitation, and therefore it can't be moved towards or away from. And so therefore it can't be applied. This isn't applied, it's beyond application. It's just simply an exposure of what is already. As soon as non-duality becomes a process that I can apply to my life, immediately it becomes dualistic. Because that implies journey and destination. Journey 1, destination 2.
Okay, my second question. Do you see teaching, well, sharing the message, sorry, not to be precise with the words that I choose, but I think the more that you dive into a subject, the more language and the more specific you can get with your wording. But do you feel like then with these talks, you're kind of creating a container for people to explore a spiritual aspect or a mindset aspect or just coming into the present? Yeah.
So all of that can appear, it can appear, because what's being shared is beyond knowledge or comprehension. It can't be said to be an experience or about something spiritual. It can't be limited or confined to anything. So, and being beyond comprehension and knowledge and information, even although concepts are being used, being beyond all of those things, it's often misinterpreted. It's often misinterpreted as those things. It's it's interpreted as a piece of knowledge. For the separate experience, it doesn't tend to hear what's being shared, but it's as though something else is hearing it. So what can happen for the separate experience is because it doesn't know what's being shared, it lives in knowing. It lives in knowing. So because it can't really get around this, it can often interpret this as some kind of teaching or practice or process, and then tries to apply that. And by applying it, this perhaps seems to be dissociation, detachment, suppressing or avoiding, responsibility or emotions, and it's not any of those things. It's an illumination of what is. Yeah. That doesn't, and being beyond polarity, it doesn't reject anything either. So anything that's appearing is just radically free to be what it is, because it's all wholeness as far as this is concerned. So a teaching or a non-teaching is all what is. A message or a teaching, whatever. It's all just what is. So it's not that this is better or worse than whatever anyone else is saying, or that religion is bad and it's not. It's beyond good, bad, right, wrong.
I guess sometimes I think of it like the universe. It's just like everything is happening all at once. Everything, the universe, like in its entirety, just of everything that is in this second.
You could say that in a way. It is sort of all immediate and fresh, but it's not now because now only exists in relation to then. So
Yeah.
it is. It's immediate and fresh and all encompassing and boundless. And being boundless and all encompassing, it can appear, which is the key word, appear as time and space.
Cool. Very cool.
And it's not like conceptually understanding that would necessarily make a difference to one's life. What is seeming to happen is beyond conceptualization. Conceptualization might happen, it might not happen, but what seems to be more apparent is energetic, like an energetic shift, for want of a better word, an energy that seems to.
I think like if you're worrying or that's like they say living in the future or in the past, right? Not in the present tense. And then it's like, oh, if you just come back to like this, what this is, this moment, this second, it's like, oh, it's actually okay. But sometimes the mind is so busy working, right? To like figure out things for you to do better or to make the next decision. That when you do have that, when you do snap into that, oh yeah, that just quick realization of like, I'm just in the now.
Yeah.
And this is cool. This is the universe has got me right now. That's nice. But then that's having
It can be nice. It can be, being in the now, staying present, abiding, whatever other terminology gets used with that it can feel very nice for a while. But thoughts are not out of this, that it's not what tends to happen for the seeker or the seeking energy is a sense that there's a now, and then when thoughts appear, I've disappeared somewhere and I fell out of the now. I fell out, or I drifted off somewhere. But there is only what is, there is only what is, and that includes the totality of thoughts, feelings, emotions, perceptions. There is only what is.
So it's kind of simple, really.
Oh, totally, utterly simple. Yeah. I mean, it's incomprehensibly simple.
Yeah. But then sometimes it's just like, yeah, okay, cool. And you just like get on with life. And then other times it's like, oh my God, this is it. This is all I have.
Yeah.
Like, oh. So it's like your different way your mindset sometimes has that like moment of moment.
Yeah.
Depending on change.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, this is like, it's kind of the resonance that can happen is not necessarily a mindset. It's an absence. It's an absence of there being a sense of position and control. And then as that seemingly unfolds or unravels, there is just the spontaneity and fluidity of what's appearing. And that includes thoughts and memories, perhaps. It also includes sensation. But there's no longer a sense of someone in there doing that, or like filtering through the thoughts and the images and the apparent samskaras and all the rest of it. It's just what is, and it's free.
what's the samskara?
So it's a yogic word. It means impression. So in a story, there's a story. If there's a sense of a story, then there's a sense of impressions left upon a body or a mind or a nervous system even.
Okay. And then that's that attachment, right, to the stories and to the belongings and stuff. Do you think it's linked to maybe how like the Buddhists go, not even Buddhists, but the stories of the people that go like stay in caves and try and leave all their attachments behind and things like that? Do you think that the non-dualism, dualism contemplation and that stories and attachments kind of go together when people are trying to leave the stories and attachments behind and trying to come into that place of now, or different? They're kind of just different stories completely. The kind of stuff I was learning about the mind and the people that try and drop their attachments in the world.
Yeah. So dropping attachment is another attachment. So trying to not try. So perhaps first it's like striving for enlightenment, and then it gets, for some, not all, but for some, that gets so neurotic that it's like it gets so far that it kind of recognizes the futility of going after something which is totally beyond anyone and anything, And so it tries to give that up, and that's another seeking energy. So running off to a cave or running to the pub is actually the same thing. It's all seeking energy. Dropping acid in a rave, or taking ayahuasca with shamans, or or going to a retreat in an ashram or in a cave. It's like it's all totally what's appearing to happen. But the suggestion is, as provocative as it will be for many to hear, so sorry to break hearts out there, but all of it is seeking energy for something else. It's arising out of a sense of dis-ease and dissatisfaction with the way that this apparently is, and therefore I'll try and apply something to make this better somehow. It's all seeking for something else, but something else is this as well. All there is wholeness. It's beyond journey. It's beyond traveling. That is another appearance.
So going with the flow, maybe another way.
Well, when this all becomes more obvious and apparent for the body, it is flow, absolutely, but it's not someone going with the flow. It's an absence. It's an absence. So this isn't applied. This is kind of like an unapplying, but no one can do that. This is the absence of someone trying to go with the flow or trying to go against the flow. It's just flow. So this is like a sort of an opening and a resonance and a receptivity. And either that's felt, and maybe it seems to percolate.
I had a cool mentor, in she was Israeli. She was really cool, and she said something like, I can't remember what the context was, but she was like, I used to ride horses, and she said the horse was going really, really fast, and she was like gripping on really hard, and she was like, "Ah!" And the horse wouldn't stop and like keep going.
Mm.
And then she just realized, like, all of a sudden she just had to relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the horse slowed down.
Yeah.
And I guess I see that maybe as a bit of a metaphor for like, sometimes when you hear these kind of messages, when you're in that stage of like doing, or going, and
Yeah.
it gives you a chance to just like breathe. Sometimes a reminder of this.
Mm.
I notice when sometimes when I'm getting stressed or like talking about the future and stuff, it's kind of a cool way to be like, just wait a sec, it's okay. Like it's just this, like
It's all, yeah. And even the thought, even the apparent chatter or the apparent chaos that seems to be happening is also this, It's all allowed, like it's radically allowed, totally radically allowed. It's so free, but no one can do that. So absolutely, like the horse, the gripping rigidly on the reins for control is not really control, it's tension. It feels like it's in control, but there is no real control. What that is more like a contraction, an energy of tenseness. And the sort of the loosening up and the letting go is not something that anyone ever does. It's if anything, it's the absence of a sense of doing. So trying to let go would actually just be another subtle form of tensing up. This is the total absence of control. So let go is what is, but it's not a process. It's not an instruction for sure. It's not something that someone could ever apply. It's the end of a so-called attempt to apply.
Sam in the background just goes, it just is.
Yeah,
And then it's like, okay, end of conversation.
Yeah.
Then like,
It
just
kind of is.
That's okay. Yeah.
It kind of is to a degree, man, but yeah.
It's just
Alexis is far better to talk about it than me, but yeah.
It just is, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is just is, and
Yeah.
isn't as well. But yeah, silence in the meetings, can and does happen, and then chatter and laughter and whatever else. It's all this. Yeah.
Nice.
There's no people, man. What's this? Sorry, just went down.
That's cool. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Hello. So there was this thing in it I heard, and I can't remember where, so I'm not going to quote it, but someone else said it, probably in much better words, that it was like, just because you realize that, what is it? The game is an illusion. Like life is illusion, but it's not. It's like coming into the now and understanding this is just it. Doesn't mean that you don't or can't or won't keep playing the game. Like, but it frees you up in a way, right? To like be like, okay, I can come back to this. And it's like, okay, I'm still gonna go. I have this body to look after. I still have my commitments. Like
Yeah.
I still am in the world.
Yeah. Apparently.
But like you still go. So once if you realize it's bigger and cooler and maybe open up other spiritual questions for you as well.
No spiritual questions.
Huh?
Yeah, okay.
No spiritual questions. This is so spiritual. This is like, but then what is spiritual? Because
the word, isn't it?
one person's spirituality could be another's like just science of the mind, right? So it's like the words that we label things with, like you can argue about the words on and on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Like, because what are we trying to convey, like here? So I noticed that with some of the discussions, like people will argue about the wording of things sometimes, and it's like,
Yeah.
people understand what they're trying to say with that metaphor or not?
Thing is, Vivi, obviously this is a really new discussion, I think.
Is there a question coming with this, or?
No, we're just
Oh,
rambling, I think.
Well, I can say something in response. Yeah.
Okay.
So this isn't about coming into the now. There is no now to come into. Whether self-abidance happens, being here and now happens, or whether getting totally lost in thought happens, it's all what is. So this can't be applied. There is no instruction that comes along with this apparent communication. It's an illumination of what is and isn't. And yes, this isn't a realization either. You could call it a recognition. You could call it a recognition. You could call it a realization if you wanted to, but it's not a realization that someone has. The realization is that there is no one. So that's not, someone does not realize there's no one. Realization of no one is the end of a sense of someone. So the reason recognition, at least, is preferred to be used by this is because it's like the body recognizes it. It's almost like a reconfiguration. The body kind of recognizes that there's obviously no one housed within it. And then everything just flows. And it's already flowing. It's already flowing. It's just there may be a sense that it isn't and that someone is in control. And that's the dream. So, yeah, there may be like a resonance, but there still might be, whilst a resonance is apparently occurring, there may still be a sense of position. And so, yes, the apparent game of life goes on. And it might be like there's a sense that I'm still here running the show and calling the shots, but a resonance might also be seeming to happen. And then what might happen, apparently, is a glimpse, a total spontaneous combustion of sense of separation. And then there's just a revealing of everything. And then me comes back. And, oh, I'm here again. And then on it goes. And then perhaps another, and then another. And this is called meing and being, a fluctuation of separation and non-separation. And then perhaps one day, as though it was a process, which it isn't, one day, I doesn't come back. It's just wholeness, just simply what is.
Yes. And I think because like it's nice weather, it's like, yeah, cool today. Like that's a cool message. But then other days it's like, what?
Yeah, then other days it's like, this is shit.
Yeah.
And that's also wholeness. That's also wholeness. It might not feel like wholeness, but it is. Because wholeness being free is radically what it is. It's totally all encompassing. It's all inclusive.
Yeah. And you said recognition, like you left the gap there. And what is cognition? Is that like being aware of your mind or just like being
So
aware?
yeah, so even the word recognition isn't perfect because the word recognition roughly means, or perhaps accurately means, to know again. And that's not great because this has nothing to do with knowing. But cognize is like cognition. The body has apparent functions and whatnot else. So, you know, it's not about awareness. It's again, this is totally radical, but it's nothing to do with awareness. Awareness lives in the separation experience. It's distance. It's me, subject, aware of that object, subject, object, 1 and 2. This is the collapse of the distance of subject and object, and then just what is happening, apparently. So it's as though the body reconfigures somehow. It's like it's sort of, there's kind of an end of a sense of position in space and time, here and now. There's an end of that sort of sense of position and experience. And then the body is just kind of free from this sense of experience and separation. And I, the separate self, wants that, apparently, but it's absence. So it can't really want or have its own absence. That's why it's chasing after its own tail in a never-ending endeavor. Which is why this message is often called unpopular, because it isn't about me.
Yeah, a friend recommended doing like a breath work class. So like I went to the taster session on Zoom, and then like another lady was there. She was like, I did the other course and like I wanted more from it. Like, and I kind of resonated something in what you're saying with that, with the I could be like doing all the brim and breathwork classes in the world and I'd still want the next thing, like to get better or whatever at what I was doing so I could finally feel good in the world.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it just like maybe like relax a bit about it. Like
You missed the intro, but it was that
okay.
like literally that exactly was said. You know, it's the next high. You know, the breath work, the yoga class, the next meditation, the next teaching, the next guidance, the next substance, the next whatever. It's always next. What's next? Me seems to live in what will be. It's hope driven. It doesn't mean that upon the total sense of I and self and separation, when that falls away, that all of those other exercises go out the window with it. No, they might still carry on. They're just no longer done in an attempt to get somewhere else or to move steadily on a path or progress towards a destination. So asana might still happen, or breathing, if that's the conditioning of the body, but it's not done as an attempt to make this better. It's enjoyed, it may be enjoyed. It might go away. There's no telling. There's no sort of hard and fast rules in all of this. Are you? Yeah. Oh, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, Gio. Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. I was here wondering, you talked about the body,
Hmm.
and I was thinking to which point a body has autonomy. Because if I touch myself, I say the body is feeling the touch.
Hmm.
But if you go into the issue, it seems that the body itself has no sentience.
Hmm.
There is something missing, because if we concede that there is a body, would you say that the body has sentience? Does it feel? It seems to me that, well, the body is not a subject.
No,
It
no, the
cannot
body is just,
feel.
yeah. The body is just nothing bodying, or everything, nothing being everything, bodying.
Yeah, I'm trying to isolate sentience.
Yeah, so
What?
by sentience, do you mean consciousness?
Mm, the problem with the word consciousness is that it it it, it sort of suggests a conditioning,
Hmm.
right? Well, some schools talk about uh, eye consciousness,
Yeah,
hearing consciousness.
yeah,
So it's a sort of a conditioning. But
right.
if we talk about pure sentience, there is no conditioning in there. I mean, if you touch, you feel a touch.
Well, if there's
You
an
tou-
yeah, so if there's the separation experience of a separate, a felt sense of subjective, then yeah, there would be an accompanying with the touch. There's an I am feeling the touch. I am feeling my body. There's an ownership happening. But when that whole sort of collapse apparently happens, it's just immediate, immediate touch, immediate sensation, immediate perception, thoughts to, thoughts, emotions. It's all sort of immediate. It's just simply what is.
yeah, but so it's strange. I don't know if you could say that the body has sentience. No, it has not, right? If we
Yeah. No,
concede
hmm.
that there is a body, I don't know.
There's an apparent body, just like there's an apparent conversation and apparent, everything being apparent. It's all.
But is sentience also just an appearance?
I'm not entirely sure of the definition of the word sentience. That's why there's a bit of a reluctance to start talking about that. Because although this used to practice the metta bhavana, and in the the loving kindness meditation, the following affirmation.
No, I don't know much about meditation. I would say I will try to define it. It would be the the essence of all the senses, right? Smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, thinking. they all have something in common, sentience. If you take sentience away, there is no way to talk about sensations, no way to talk about any of the senses. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not really sure what I'm talking about, but
Neither is this, but that's all right. That's all right. I mean, it is a mystery, you know, it is a total mystery. What
yeah,
sounds
it is.
sounds like is being suggested there is like by the word sentience, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone else as well, but it sounds like this sentience is a sense of I that is smelling. So I am smelling, and that's the separation experience.
No,
No? Well, then it's just
no,
simply what is. It's just
yes,
smelling is appearing, hearing is
yes,
appearing, tasting is appearing. It's all appearance. So in that, if that's what that's meant by, then yes, sentience is just appearing to happen. But also the sort of energy of separation is also an appearance, but it's an illusory one. It's an illusory
yeah,
appearance.
that's clear, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that many of the awareness dudes, the people who talk about, you know, consciousness and awareness as something separate or something, even if in the end they concede that awareness is not separate, but there is a sense of subject object when they talk about awareness, right? And
Mm.
I think that the root that brought these people to talk about awareness was exactly this sense of sentience. Because one, as we were saying, all these sensations have a root and they sort of lead to, it's almost like a source or something that may, yeah, well, if I say that I can feel, that's a bit, that's not what I mean. No,
Mm.
yeah, I think I,
I mean, the source is that there is no source. There's
uh,
just nothing being everything. And it's all totally what is, you know.
yeah. Or I could say, there is, this is a funny thing. I am seeing through these eyes, or something or nothing is seeing through these eyes, another sensation. But this is the only place that there is seeing from behind these eyes. All the other eyes in the universe are being seen from outside.
So that perhaps is the experience there.
Of location, right? Of
Yeah. Experience of a position. And
of a
and as that
position.
and as that as there has as perhaps a sense of position, it may all feel very personal and personalized even. Like this is all happening to me or for me, or I am having this experience. It's the
But let's
dreams.
say that,
It's the dream.
but but let's say that you understand all that and there is no I. Still there is the seeing. This is there is a sense of location without the I, because
Without the sense of position.
no, the sense
There's
of
no position, there's no sense of position when the whole contracted energy falls away. There's just immediate spontaneity and fresh and fluid, and it's just all sort of happening. There's no spatial element anymore, neither is there a timed one. Everything is
right,
the it's just nothing appearing.
right, but nonetheless, the same way I can say that there is a seeing from behind his eyes, you can say the same thing. And Laura can say the same thing, and everybody can say the same, that the seeing happens. Isn't there a sense of location without the sense of me?
No, no.
No?
It's it's like an additional perception. It's like an additional sense among the five, you know, apparently external senses, smelling, tasting, touching, seeing, or whatever. And then you've got proprioception and interoception and vestibular. And then along comes this other sense of me, of position. That's the dream, that's an illusion, and that falls away, nothing left, just this.
Yeah.
So sometimes this gets called an additional perception, but the way in which this would word it is actually the end of a perception. It's the absence of a sense of self, or an absence of a sense of position or experience, or personal, like a personal situation. This isn't. It's not personal. It's just immediately what is. That's incomprehensible. No conceptual understanding will ever reveal that.
Mm.
It might seem to assist it, but it doesn't actually. This has got nothing to do with knowledge or knowing, or those things might occur regardless. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I will let it rest a little bit. Thank you.
Oh, much love, much love.
Alexis, I was just wondering as well, just on that, and that kind of conversation there, I was saying to Fifi as well, like, it's interesting to think about that kind of thing, because I agree with what you said. It's exactly what you said there. But I was thinking about, so how did you find that, G? So I want to see how, because I mean, I do that thing, exact same thing, of fixing that. Well, I'm seeing that, what I see is what is, if you know what I mean. But then it's like, so what would happen if you're a blind person? Do you know what I mean? Can they, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's,
Yeah, the sense of position has got
yeah,
nothing to do
no,
with organs.
exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's nothing to do with actually.
There
Like,
is no correlation
I feel
between
I'm here.
Yeah, no, nothing. No.
It's like I am is the biggest lie I ever told. I'm joking. Sorry, no offense to anyone. But yeah, I am is the
Like, no, Sam. You don't hear when we're muting having the conversations. We should leave it
Oh,
on.
sorry.
It's
Like,
funny, yeah.
I agree with Gio in the sense that it's like, it is a me still. Like, it's not, even if I am in like a deep meditation, right? And then I'm like, oh yeah, like I just had a glimpse of the universe. Like, it's still Fee. It's not Sam experiencing
Is
that,
it
right?
No, but that is the dream. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's be clear about this. This is going to get more radical now, so brace yourself. But the dream is that someone is having that experience. No one is having an experience. The whole sort of tornado of the contracted energy apparently conjures up a whirlwind of stories and ideas and impressions, memories, beliefs, opinions, and then suddenly it all seems very personal and very individual and separate. Yes, these eyes are apparently seeing something different to eyes over there, but that's got nothing to do with anyone. No one is already having an experience. The dream is that there's an experience happening to someone. It's simply a contracted energy that makes all of this feel personal and individualized and therefore separate, and that's an illusion. And if that becomes more sort of obvious and abundant and apparent, then that's what's happening. But if that sort of sense of position and me having this experience goes on, that's also wholeness. You need to unmute, Gio. If you're speaking, you need to unmute yourself. Yep. Oh, you nearly had it. There we are.
But still, there is a feeling that there can be a sense of location without being personal. I mean, there is no need to bring in the person, to bring in a me, in order to know that. Well, I touch my arms and I feel, and there is the sensation. If I could touch your arms, I wouldn't feel the sensation in the arms. So there is an apparent difference, isn't there?
Apparent difference, yeah.
Yes, but without any need of bringing in uh, a sense of a person.
Yeah.
It seems to be totally part of what's happening. right?
Yes, it's all just what's apparently happening. Yeah, that's fine.
It is a mystery. It is a mystery, really.
When there's two bodies, let's say these two
Yes.
bodies, let's just say these two bodies are in the same room. When there's this sort of contracted energy, it all feels very separate. It all feels like this is my, I mean, even separate from the body, like there's even a sense that this is my body. So it's not identifying with the body, it's saying this is my body. There's a distance still. Even with thoughts, there's a sense that I am thinking. That's a distance. So the whole sort of I mean, this obviously still uses the words I and me and all that stuff because it's simply convenient in language. But the whole sort of sense of I is this sort of contracted energy. It's coming from a contracted energy of a sense of position, and then everything else feels separate. So even not just other people, not other bodies, but this body seems separate to I. And that whole contracted energy is simply a magic trick conjured up from wholeness, which is wholeness, appearing as contraction and separation. And as that some, falls away, it's like there's just simply what is. I mean, that keeps on getting repeated because there's no other way to word it. It's a total mystery. It's beyond words. It can't be talked about or comprehended. Concepts will be used to say that it's immediate, it's fresh, it's alive, it's fluid, it's organic, it's spontaneous, it's timeless. But it is just simply, it's so sort of radical and alive. And it's totally what is. So this does not have a sense that there's anyone else having a conversation. There's not a sense that there's anyone that this is talking to. It's just totally this.
Yeah. But we are not denying that there are sensations. Nobody's.
Yes, no, it's not a denial.
No.
It's not a denial. It's just saying that it's empty. It's appearance. It's appearance. So sensation is not necessarily an illusion. It's just empty.
No.
It's empty and full. It's nothing and everything. It's what is.
And this includes the apparent sense of location without any need of a me.
Yeah, so the
Somehow
contracted energy seems to be another appearance.
You are already calling this a contracted energy.
It's an illusion.
But if I pinch my body, you don't feel it.
It's not claimed by someone. That's the difference. So pinching or not pinching or tasting a hot drink or whatever. It's just not claimed by someone.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It still apparently happens, but it's just not owned or claimed by someone.
By someone, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you for all who's watching. I'll chat for a little bit longer for those who would like to, off camera, not off camera, off recording. Yeah, and yeah, if you want to subscribe, send a donation, that's most welcome, not required, but it's very much appreciated. And yeah, much love.